Hello friends, welcome to a Lovely Yarn podcast. My name is Amber and I am filming in the beautiful rolling hills of Western Pennsylvania, where it is actually just a stunning morning. The sun is out, the birds are chirping, I have my windows open, which I haven't been able to do much lately because it has been so hot. But it is August 8th and it is just perfect weather this morning. I love when I can turn the air conditioner off and open the windows and just let in like the cool morning air. It's lovely. So anyway, I'm a day late on filming. I've been doing really good at keeping up with a filming on Monday schedule. However, yesterday was a really busy day. I wasn't home and it didn't happen. I had every intention of it happening when I got up in the morning yesterday, but I just got into a bunch of things and then my daughter and I ended up being gone almost all day. So I'm here this morning though, and I have a lot of things to share with you all. And first, I just want to take a minute to thank you guys for watching my videos, for liking and subscribing. I so appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoy this content, please consider doing so just by clicking the subscribe button down below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up because that helps a lot. Okay, so what am I wearing? I am wearing another Ranunculus. Go figure. I've talked about this one on the podcast in the past, but I want to go ahead and just tell you about it because anytime I wear something knitted when I film and I don't mention it, then somebody usually comments asking what it is. Probably most of you would recognize this because of the yoke, because the Ranunculus is such a popular pattern and has been for several years. But I knit this one a couple of years ago, maybe last year. I don't remember because you know how fast time goes. And it is knit out of Madeline Tosh, Pashmina, and it is in the Calligraphy colorway. So the Pashmina is a 75-15-10, so merino silk and cashmere, and it is a sport weight yarn. I purchased this many years ago, so I'm assuming that this base is still available and this colorway, but I don't know that for certain. But it's just a really pretty pinky purple lavender tone, and this is one of my short sleeve versions of the Ranunculus. And I just have it tucked, like I have a French tuck into the front of my shorts. I'll go ahead and put a clip over here so you can see what it looks like full length, because I always like to see that. I always like to see knitters wearing their projects, because it's one thing to just see the project, it's another thing to see how it fits on the body. So I always enjoy watching that. But yeah, this one it's going to be good for this morning, but I can tell you I will be changing here later today because it has a lot of the wool in it, 85% merino. So I'm already starting to feel slightly warm just in like my midsection here. It's very heartwarming, but as soon as this little bit of a chill we have in the air burns off from the sun, this is going to be too warm for the day. But I thought I would enjoy it while I can. Okay, so, oh, by the way, thank you guys. I had no idea. So here's what happened. We were supposed to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, right? It didn't happen. The day before we were to leave, so last Wednesday, my son, Ian, woke up sick. And at first I thought it was just a head cold that had been going around in our area. And then at like 4 o'clock that afternoon, he came to me and he had a fever. He was feeling pretty bad. Thank goodness, like such a godsend. I was able to get our house reimbursed, like a full refund. So we booked a home through Airbnb, and I had until 2 p.m. on Wednesday to cancel for a full refund. Here it was 4:30 and I'm like, oh great, I'm past the cutoff by 2.5 hours. So I reached out to the gentleman that was the owner of the house, and he was so extremely kind and understanding. Probably part of that came from the fact that he has 4 children, and so he gave us a full refund, which was I was so thankful for, because we were throwing around like, do we go and leave Ian home? And you know, Ian is almost 20, so we could do that, but I just was so looking forward to having the four of us go together and experience it together, because when Brad and I had gone in 2021, I just said I want to bring the kids back. So we were able to get the refund on the house, and then Sight and Sound Theater was very kind, and they gave us, and they do this for everyone, if you have to cancel, you get, as long as you cancel before the show starts, you get a gift card to use for a future show. So I don't know that we're going to be able to get back there this fall, because we were looking at the dates of like the shows. There's nothing available the month of August, and there were a couple of Thursdays in September, but with my husband in his work schedule, I don't know that he'd be able to get off in the middle of the week like that. He did have all last week off, so we still took advantage of that, and we did a lot of local things. Ian stayed home because he was sick. He was sick the whole entire week, Wednesday through Sunday. So I was really glad that we didn't just go and leave him at home, because I would have felt really bad. Not only that he was missing out, but also that he was at home sick by himself. So not that he needed me, but you know, once a mom, always a mom, doesn't matter how old your children are. So yes, so that is what happened with that. So we may not get back until spring of next year, but next year's show at Sight and Sound is actually Daniel, which sounds actually more interesting to me than Moses. So it's not a big deal. I was just super happy that we were able to get our money back and didn't lose out on any of that. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started in the knitting content. But I just wanted to say thank you guys. Oh, thank you for all the yarn shop suggestions. I don't know how I missed all that on our first trip out there. There are multiple yarn shops, not necessarily in Lancaster, but in the Lancaster area, within like 15-minute drive from Lancaster. So when we go back, I will be prepared. And yeah, I'll be prepared, and I'll be able to maybe schedule in some yarn shop stops. Another thing, one of you viewers had mentioned that Interweave's Knit and Crochet Festival was also being held in Lancaster this past weekend, which I had looked into that. So that it was kind of like the one we have locally here in Pittsburgh, where you have classes and that you pay for, and then you pay for a ticket to get into the show itself, and there's an open marketplace. But even though that was kind of appealing, if we had gone, I was going to have to pay for a ticket to get in, and then I didn't want to do that to my family, you know, because that isn't why we were going. But just stopping in a yarn shop or two while we were out and about, I wouldn't have felt bad about. I would have just made my stops quick. Okay, well, let's move on to knitting now. And I have multiple finished objects. I have some whips, and I want to talk to you about my very near cast-ons that I plan on doing. So first thing I want to show you, not going to talk about these a long time because I've talked about these socks numerous times already, but I finished my Hermione's Everyday socks, and these are, this is a free pattern in case you're watching for the first time and aren't familiar with this pattern, and it is a really beautiful, easy textured sock pattern. I'm using yarn from a Knitter's Homestead. This is in the Cupid's Dark colorway, and I'm holding, I did my cuff and my toe with a contrast of hers as well. It's like a ballet pink color. It didn't have a name because it was part of a mini skein set that I purchased maybe 2 years ago. So these are done, and the only thing I'm a little concerned about with these, I'm not sure what happened, but I feel like my gauge, so my gauge is, I think my gauge has become looser since I last knit a pair of this pattern. This is a 64 stitch cast on, so there aren't any other sizes. It's easy, of course, to adapt the length of the foot and such, but the cast on is 64 stitches. I mean, you could definitely cast on less or more just by figuring out the repeats, which wouldn't be hard to do. But I did the 64, and that's what I've always done. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's just a little baggy, and I'm a little concerned about that. They fit, but you know, they do stretch out. The socks will stretch out a little bit as I wear them. So I'm not sure what happened there. can see this one's even baggier. This is an even looser gauge than this one. But that's just what happens, you know, your gauge does vary depending on various things. But it's not a big deal. They can still be worn, or I might set them aside and give them as a gift. Okay. I think I'm probably going to have to close my windows because a neighbor just started mowing, so give me a second. Okay, windows are shut. I turned my ceiling fan on because I'm already feeling it. Not quite ready to put the air conditioning on though, and the fan is doing a great job at keeping me cool, so we're just going to go with that. Okay, my next finished object is this most lovely, dainty, drapey summer camp kerchief. This is a pattern designed by so-and-so, and I've talked about this, and I've talked about her a couple of times now on my podcast. And yeah, okay, so I made one of these. I told you guys I made one of these in Cascade Ultra Pima yarn, which is like a sport weight. And although I liked it, it was a bit bulky for how I want to wear this. So this is knitted in Knitting for Olive pure silk because Tracy, one of my lovely viewers, sent this to me. She had an extra skein. This is the colorway Putty. I absolutely love this yarn. I loved working with it. Didn't have any problems with it. I will purchase this again. Well, I didn't purchase this. I will purchase this yarn in the future. Like now that I know that I like it and I like the fabric it makes, I will purchase it for future projects. So let's go ahead and put it on. Okay, so it can be worn like this, of course, which I'm sure I will wear it like this from time to time. And so that was how I was able to wear the other one that I made with the Ultra Pima, but I could not do this because it was just a bit too bulky to tie it in the front like this. I'm not sure how much I'll actually wear it like this. I kind of feel like a Boy Scout or something. Maybe if I had the right outfit, I would wear it. I would wear it this way. I don't know. And then of course the triangular part hangs down the back, but I think I'm actually gonna probably end up wearing it more with the triangular part in the front. And this pattern, as I said before, I won't talk too much about it because I have talked about it in my last 2 regular episodes, but it is knit, or there are 3 different versions. I'm sorry, there's 3 different versions of this in that same pattern. So you pay for one pattern, you get 3 different versions of the neckerchief that you can knit. I chose sample number 2, which has the 3 eyelet rows. There's also one with 5 eyelet rows, and then there's one that doesn't have any eyelet rows. It's just you do your increases, and it's more of a plain, it's beautiful too. So here we go. It is done. I would love this. I said this before, but I would love this in a pop of bright color. Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, they have a new color they just released. It's a bright red, and I cannot remember. It's something orange maybe, but it's like a poppy red, and I think that would be really nice, just to have a pop of color when I'm wearing something black or navy. They also have a gold yellow that I thought would be nice. So we'll see. I'm done. I've knit 2 of these already in the last month. They're really easy and fast to knit, and it just really flies by. But I'm done knitting them for this summer because I have other things that I want to work on now. Although I have to say, if you know somebody that would be into this kind of a neck scarf, this would make a great gift. It's just, even with this yarn, because this yarn here in the United States, I was able to find it for anywhere between $12 and I think $14 for a skein. And I'll show you how much. I mean, I still have quite a bit left. I didn't weigh it, but I have quite a bit left of it. So I feel like that would be a really great gift if somebody, not everybody's into this, the neck scarves. I personally like neck scarves. I've been wearing them for multiple years, but I know not everybody's into it. Isn't that so adorable? Like, this is so adorable. And this is perfect because it's not going to be overly hot because it is silk, but it still just puts a little bit of warmth on your neck there. So I really love this. This is a great pattern, and this is great yarn. But I'm not going to keep it on because, like I said, I'm getting a little warm. Okay, moving on. So my next finished object is, oh oh my gosh, it's done. It's my Dahlia Scrapgan. I have some things I want to say about this, and I am going to put a little video over here of like full length. Now keep in mind, this has not been washed yet, so it is a little wonky because, you know, these are squares that you join, and so there's some waviness to it because it hasn't been washed. I don't typically block Afghans. I mean, I wash them and then I dry them, and that's what I will do with this as well. But I wanted to share it. So it is, I ended up doing, so when I talked to you guys about this last, I still had, I had not joined any of the squares together. I had the squares done, but I was thinking, should I make more squares? Should I make it bigger? Because I had a lot of circles that I had already crocheted, and all I needed to do was crochet this linen colored main color around them. And so what I ended up doing after that podcast episode is I laid all of the squares out on my bed, and I got a perfect 5 by 5 with one remaining square left over. So I made one extra. I was literally just crocheting them though. They were so much fun because crocheting is so much fun to me every now and then because it's so fast. It uses up a lot more yarn, but it's very fast, and so I don't know, it's kind of like it fulfills that instant gratification thing. I mean, an Afghan takes a while. I've been working on this for a while. I started it last fall, I think. But this pattern is by, oh gosh, I forgot who it was by, and I didn't write that down, but I'll link it down below. And I used the free pattern, which was on the website, on this woman's website. She did a 4-part series for this, so you kind of have to, you can also buy a PDF of the pattern, but I was familiar enough with crocheting because I've been crocheting for way longer than knitting that I didn't feel I needed like a complete holding my hand through the whole thing, and I was fine with just getting onto a blog post, seeing what I had to do, and then doing it. So there's 4 parts to that, 4 different blog posts, or you can buy the PDF. I had everything done except for having them joined together. So I got on and I watched how to do that, and it was a join as you go method. I had never done it before. Even while I was starting it, I was like confused at first, and she did include a video tutorial, which was very helpful. I don't know that I feel like I would have struggled even more if I wouldn't have had the video tutorial, so that is something to keep in mind. But she has a tutorial for both right-handed and left-handed crochet and how to join the squares. Now, what I didn't know is when I joined the squares, I was going to be actually doing a whole nother round of double crochets. I think that would be treble crochets in the UK verbiage, but in the United States, it's a double crochet, which made these squares even bigger, which made the circles look a lot smaller than what I had intended. So if I were to make this again, which I don't think I will make it on such a large scale. Oh, you caught me. I have like a few, I'll talk about that in a minute. See, there's just a lot of the main color and not a lot of contrast because I didn't realize that when I joined, I would be actually doing a whole nother round. And it's all how you do this joining process. Rather than whip stitching it together or doing like a slip stitch join, I just follow her directions. And once I got the hang of it, it was so easy, and I was like, this is fantastic. This is a great way to join. And you can see that's a seam right there. So it looks nice. I think it looks nice, right? It pops out a little bit, but it's a nice, neat join. And in case you are here for the first time, my middle circles, I just used fingering weight scraps that I held either triple or quadruple depending on the thickness of them. And I have 4 different colors for the insides. Now I'm showing you the right side of the blanket. If I flip over, I still have 12 12 of these to weave in. All my other ends are woven in though. I wove in all of that, and I was gonna try to get it completely done before I filmed this podcast today, but then I was just like, no, I just want to start filming, because if I wait too long, it's gonna be harder. My videos have been taking, my last video last week took 7 hours to upload to YouTube. I have no idea why that is, but I like to get filmed in the morning, and then I edit, and then I set my phone to upload, and then I do all my housework while it's uploading. But anyway, yeah, so I just have 12 of these. That's not going to take me long. And thank you to those of you who suggested weaving these ends in using a crochet hook rather than putting this on a tapestry needle and weaving in, which is what I normally do. I was not even thinking about that, but it's so much easier and faster just to use a crochet hook and to kind of weave it in just by grabbing the yarn, pulling it through, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through. So much easier that way. So what I ended up doing to finish off, and I don't even know how she finishes it off in the pattern, because once I figured out how to join the squares, I just stopped there with her tutorial and with her instructions. I just went and I did a single crochet round the whole way around the blanket, and then I did a half double crochet round the whole way around the blanket on top, and that was how I ended it. So yes, this is a lovely blanket. It is very big. I could see myself making this again as maybe like a baby blanket on a smaller scale, and maybe with a like maybe not so heavy of a yarn, so maybe a sport weight yarn. I think that would make a really nice baby blanket. But it's so pretty. I love it, and it actually matches my home and the colors of my home, so it's going to be fantastic. I will go ahead and weave those ends in. I will run it in through the washing machine, and then we will be done, and it'll be ready to snuggle under. Okay, so that is all of my finished objects. Now I want to talk about an awesome pair of socks that I actually talked about last week because I had just purchased the pattern, but I actually casted these on, and they are really cute. Where did I put them? Okay, this pattern is part of a sock set by Deb of Knit On Designs, and she is a new to me designer. She has beautiful sock designs. She also has a bunch of washcloth designs, which when I knit washcloths, I'm very practical with it, so I just knit basic washcloths, but I like a nice textured sock pattern, and that is what I'm getting with this. So let me get it all pulled out here. Okay, so this is the morning coffee sock. Look how cute. Oh my gosh, Deb, this pattern is so stinking cute. Now I did block this. I knit this sock in 2 days. I knit it, so the one day, last Thursday, we went, because we didn't go to Lancaster, Lily, Brad, and I went and did a waterfall hiking day. So we went about an hour from home, and there were multiple waterfalls and areas to hike. So we went and did that, and we were in the car quite a bit, just driving there and then driving between spots. So I did have a lot of knitting time that day in the car. We just spent hours in the car that day, and this pattern was really fast and easy, and I just love it. Look at that texture pattern on there. It is so stinking cute. Now I did everything the way she said, except I did a 2x2 ribbing. Her pattern calls for a 1x1 ribbing, which looks really nice because it just kind of like the 1x1 ribbing just blends into this slip stitch heel if you look at her pattern. But I like a 2x2 on my socks because they cinch in a little bit more. This pattern was written for 64 stitch cast on. I cast it on 60 stitches, and then I adjusted down here in the stitch pattern because I actually had too many stitches once I got down here. So I should have went down to well, I don't know. I get confused by that sometimes. So I just kind of winged it when I got down here, and I just decreased by 2 stitches so that I had the right amount of stitches for this repeat of this pattern. This repeat here, or this the pattern that, or the stitches that you do to get that, hold on, there we go. The stitches that you do to get that texture, I was able to memorize it, but it took me a little bit longer than like when I do the Hermione's Everyday Sock. Okay, so we had a little snafu in our filming. It's been a couple of hours since I filmed, and I went to edit it, and I noticed that the audio was way off from my lips, and I was thinking it was the program that I was editing in or whatever, but it turns out something happened. There was some static in my earbuds, and then it all happened after that. So I could not tolerate it. I had to start over with the end of this podcast episode. It was just driving me crazy. It's maybe the perfectionist in me, but I just couldn't handle it. So if I repeat anything, I apologize. It's been several hours since I actually filmed, so I may repeat some things that I already said. But so when I stopped, I was talking about these socks, and all I think I really want to say now about them is that you can buy this as an individual pattern, or you can buy it in a set of 3, so with 3 other patterns, and the cost of that is $8.50 in US dollars, so it's so economical. You get 3 beautiful patterns, and what I'm actually going to do next is, I feel like I'm really getting my yarn's worth out of these 2 skeins. So on my next sock, which I'm going to pick a different sock from that trio, pattern trio, I'm going to use the orange as my main color and the Farm Fresh eggs as the contrast color. I'm not sure which sock I'm going to go with yet, but that is my plan. So yes, just to recap, I love these socks. Easy to knit up fast, because this was actually really fun to knit. So I suggest that you go check out Knit On Designs on Ravelry. I'll link to the trio and the individual pattern for this, I think it was morning coffee sock, down below for you. Okay, so let's talk about the projects that I plan on casting on. And this first one I actually plan on casting on this week. I talked about this pattern last week in my podcast episode, and it is the Fletching Socks by Jessica McDonald. It's a brand new pattern. I think it's her first colorwork sock pattern, and it's knit with sport weight yarn. So that was part of the problem last week, because I was trying to figure out which yarn to use. So I have this TukuWool sock, which is a sport weight sock yarn. It has 80% finish wool and 20% nylon in it. And so I knew that this would be a good option for it. However, it only has 160 meters. It's a 50-gram ball, 160 meters. So I knew that wouldn't be enough to make 2 socks. I had a light pink contrast color of the same yarn base. I had won this in a giveaway a while ago, which is why I had these. So I thought about using that, but I did not think there would be a high enough contrast for the color work in those socks. So I got on the internet to try to find a contrast that would go with this, and to try to find another skein of this so that I could be sure that I would have enough to make a pair of socks. And I don't think, do they not make this anymore? Like I don't think I could even really find this. There were many people that stocked it. The people in the shops in the United States that did stock it had very limited quantities. It appears to me, and I could be totally wrong, I'm just making this assumption from what I was seeing, it appears to me that TukuWool has replaced their sport weight sock yarn with a fingering weight sock yarn that has the same content, so the 80% finish wool and the 20% nylon. I could be totally wrong about that, but this is the sport weight, so I thought I need to make do. So what I decided to do is use this for the main part of the sock, because it does have the nylon. And I'm going to use this for my color work, and this is the Barrett Wool Co, the Woolens, and this is actually the yarn that Jessica used in her pattern, and this is actually the same color that her sample is knitted in. This is the old-fashioned color, and I have this left over from my pressed flowers hat. So to try to ensure that I have enough of this yarn for both socks, I'm going to knit the cuff in the contrast which is different than what the pattern. It's not ideal. I would rather not have that there. I'd rather have all the pop of color be in the colorwork section, but I just want to make sure I have enough of this yarn to go through 2 socks. So I'm going to knit the cuff with this, then I'm going to knit a couple of rounds with just the plain, then I'll do the contrast color work in this, then the rest, like the heel and the foot, with the gray. And then for the toe, what I'm going to do is hold this yarn. It doesn't have nylon in it, it's just wool. So that was my concern, but I'm going to hold it double with this silk mohair. And I want to thank you guys, because that was, at least one of you had that idea. There were multiple people, viewers from last week, that were saying, don't do it, Amber, do not knit it with the non-nylon. And that is because I have said about how every pair of socks that I've knit with non-nylon wool, they get holes in them so super fast, like within several wears. And so thank you for stopping me. There's nothing wrong if you want to knit your socks out of 100% wool, but I just don't, I've never had a good experience with it. I don't find them to be durable or long lasting. And that's not even wearing them. I mean, I've had socks that I just wear around the house that I don't even wear in shoes or boots. It's just, I just haven't had very good luck. So this is what I'm hoping will be the solution, because the silk mohair will give it some durability. And that's what I'm gonna, so that's what I'm gonna do. That is what I decided I'm going to do, and I'm really excited to get those started. I need to find I'm pretty sure I have a size 2 9-inch circular needle. I just can't find it. It's not where I keep all of my needles, and I don't know if it's in a project bag somewhere with like a languishing project, but I don't really have many of those kind of projects, and the ones I do have, I don't believe I would be using a size 2 9-inch circular needle. But what I'm going to do is, if I can't find it today, tomorrow after Lily's allergy appointment, I'm going to take a route home that goes kind of in the direction of my local yarn shop. So I'll just stop in there and see if they have the needle before I order it off of Amazon. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen with the fletching socks. Okay, my next project that I'm planning on casting on, actually maybe this week, for sure next week, is okay. So I am forward thinking now, because it is August 8th, and that means we probably have like a month and a half of warm weather. Although that can be very questionable, because I live in a state where that can be questionable. Sometimes we have warm weather all through October. Like last year, we had warm weather all winter. We had time, days in February that it was like almost 80 degrees. So I don't know. But if we have proper Western Pennsylvania weather, I'm assuming that by the end of September, and probably even before that, I'm going to be back into wearing sweaters, at least for portions of the day. So I'm done with knitting summer garments. That is something I'm putting behind me. I'm happy with the amount that I got done this year. I have some yarn, like basically these two things right here. That's cotton blend. Those are cotton linen blends, I think. I will do something though with those next spring when I'm all hyped up for warm weather. So I have the yarn for that, so that's great. But now I'm thinking about warmer sweaters, cardigans, and so forth. So I have this yarn that I've had for a little while. And this is Yarn Bee from Hobby Lobby, and it's the Rustic Romantic base. And this is a 85% acrylic, 15% hemp yarn blend. It's 220 yards per skein. And this colorway is Okie Wheat. And it's not quite as yellow, like bright yellow in real life. It has a little bit more of a gold, like a deeper gold to it. But then I love the white flecks, and I'm assuming that's the hemp that does that. But I have 4 skeins of it, so I have 880 yards here. And I want to make a Felix cardigan with this. I'm so excited about this. I have made 2 Felix pullovers in the past using Barocco Mercado yarn. I love that pattern. It's another one of those things, like just like with the Ranunculus, if I find a good pattern, I'm so cool with making multiple variations of it, just using different colored yarn. And I often just wear those things more because I know that they fit me well, that I like the style of them. So I've made 2 pullovers, but now I want to make the cardigan. I thought about just knitting the pullover pattern because I already own that, and then putting in a steek, like a steeking line here. But then I was like, I don't know, because this doesn't have any wool in it. It's all acrylic and hemp, and it's not going to be sticky. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea. So I don't know if you guys want to chime in on that, because I was thinking I could probably just somehow adapt the pullover pattern so that I could steek it and then not have to buy the cardigan pattern. But I've never steeked before, so I don't know if I want my first steek to be with yarn that's more of a slippery yarn because it's acrylic. I'm willing to buy the pattern for the cardigan because I think that it would be worth it. I feel like I would probably knit it multiple times just because I know how much I love the pullover and how I've knitted that twice, and I plan on knitting it more because it is it's another one of those patterns that just flies off my needles. So I don't know if you guys have any input on that. I've never adapted a pullover sweater to steek it, and I know there's lots of resources on YouTube where I can watch videos on how to do it. So I know I can figure it out, but I don't know that I want to. I think I might just want to cast on, just buy the pattern and just cast on the pullover and not have to worry. Like when I knit, I can do the math, but it's not the part of knitting that I enjoy. I'd rather just somebody else do all the work for me, and then I just do the enjoying part, which is the knitting, the actual knitting. So for me, $7 for the pattern is probably worth it. I can justify that because that means I can just cast on and have fun and enjoy my knitting and not have to worry about doing any of the finagling with numbers or figuring out, you know, is this going to work? If I steek it, is it going to line up and all that? And basically when I knit, I just like to get into the knitting and not have to worry so much about the other things, which is why I'm not one of those knitters who will I've never had the desire to just wing a pattern. I will modify patterns as I'm knitting them, and if I think they need modified, but for me to say, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to totally wing it and just cast on stitches and see what happens, that's not appealing to me at all. It sounds like too much work, and I knit to relax. I don't knit to have to do math or calculations. So I'm really thinking I'm just going to push the buy button and get the pattern for the cardigan and get this started, because I think that this is going to be such a happy color to pull on with a t-shirt and a pair of jeans in the gray during the gray days of Pennsylvania's winters. I feel like this is going to be, I mean, I get happy just looking at this color. It's just telling me, I had originally thought about making this into a pullover, but then the yarn was telling me, no, Amber, we want to be a cardigan. So I feel like this would be a perfect match for that particular pattern. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just jump in and do that. So, but if you guys have any insight onto steeking or converting patterns, or if you have any good videos that you have used to convert a pullover pattern into a steeked garment, go ahead and leave that down below in the comments, because that's probably something that I should learn to do eventually. It's just, I don't know that I feel like doing it with this particular project. Okay, so that's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to all of my coffee supporters. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are so awesome. Thank you to those of you who just leave comments and say hello, because I love reading all of them, and it means a lot to me. So enjoy your knitting or whatever crafting that you're doing. I'm doing a lot of knitting, as well as I've been crocheting. I'm doing a ton of reading right now, mostly in the evenings at night. And I'm also doing quite a bit of gardening because it's getting to the time of the summer when I'm starting to harvest. So that means I'm picking stuff and I need to figure out a way to preserve it. So today's, on my to-do list for today is I'm going to make some pickled banana peppers. And so I'm going to get this all rolling and get it started to upload to YouTube, and I'm going to head out to the garden, pick my peppers, and get started on those. But yeah, just have fun with whatever you're doing. Enjoy whatever season you're in. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.